Welcome, everybody, to the Game Dev Unchained podcast, the number one game development podcast about game development and the lifestyle thereof. I'm your host, Brandon Pham, and you know who I'm going to introduce because he saw the title, and it's that time of the month. What's up, Ray Graham? What's up, Ray?
Hey, how you doing, man? What's up?
What's up? So, without further ado, this is a Roundtable news episode where game developers such as us are talking about game developer news in the past month that affects game developers. Let's get right into it. All right. First and foremost, Tencent is a military company now. Did you hear about this?
No.
It is listed by the United States as a military company. Tencent, of course, says this is a mistake. We do other things. But, there are obviously ramifications.
Oh.
I
see what this is.
Yeah. So there was a bunch of other Chinese companies that got rolled into this as well.
Mm-hmm.
It is concerning because Tencent does have a strong foothold in American game companies, particularly aggressively in the last 5 to 10 years. Right, the top two, Epic Games, Riot, right? Riot, especially, they own pretty much Riot, right? And then Epic Games, they own a percentage, not a big stakehold, but
I think it's pretty big stake.
It's pretty big. All right.
Yeah, I think. But yeah.
Eventually, all of it. But I did see news that there was some kind of conflict of having a Tencent on the board of directors. They had to vote that Tencent represented off because it was not enough. So not so much that they can be part of the board, but enough to be like, I'm coming for you, right?
Yeah. Tencent has 40% stake.
Right. It's pretty big. Not quite there yet. It's almost there. And I guess the question is, there's an escalation. We ain't a political show, but there's an escalation in terms of concern, right? In the last few years, TikTok particularly, you gotta sell it, or else we're gonna ban it, right? It's still, I think, through political channel, it's been kind of delayed, but eventually it's coming to a conclusion, to the point where, has to come to a conclusion, because I even saw a headline with that guy from Shark Tank, talking about
Kevin O'Leary.
It's buying TikTok. So it's interesting to see, all right, what other Chinese companies like Tencent kind of hitting the headlines. I don't think it's blatantly a mistake. I definitely think there's something going on for them to
no,
somehow it's a huge company to be doing that to that, right?
Yeah, but it's kind of just reading one article about it. It's kind of Tencent is a Chinese company, and the Chinese government has a lot of control over the companies that operate in China.
Yeah.
Right. There's some very direct linkages there. Right. And so it's basically the US saying, okay, you're a Chinese tech giant, you work over here, but you're in China and you have connections to the Chinese government. Therefore, you're a military company, and therefore you're on this list. Right. So I think that's kind of what is coming out of that. You know what I mean? It's it's like a typical American reaction to a company having close ties to a government that they're currently at odds with, basically, or currently kind of cold with, right? And so, is Tencent actually a military company? No, but just like any other tech giant working in China, do they have strong connections to the Chinese government, i.e. the Chinese military? Yes, because this is how China operates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's hopefully that subsides, and because the big two is Epic Games and Riot, but they have a grapple on a lot of other companies, and
Tencent says they're gonna sue if the U.S. government doesn't fix it. So
yeah, I mean, there really is it's a big problem. It's not like they can suddenly just sell all their stakes in the company and just leave.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of years built up to where they are right now, and as a business, it's kind of it seems unfair. right? But
Yeah. It's kind of funny though. I see this. It's really interesting. You see companies like kind of get big in like North America,
yeah,
and then they're looking for the next market. And a lot of times the next market is like China, India. Like we gotta like break into there, and then we unlock a multiple of people that we can reach. And I think Tencent's doing the opposite, where they're like they run everything in China, right? And now they're like, okay, where else can we expand into? And so they're expanding into gaming, Western gaming companies and other things. And then now it's a big uproar, you know.
it's
Yeah.
definitely I don't want to say threatening, but it's like it is grabbing a lot of attention with Wukong kind of making like a splash in the AAA
Yeah, yeah.
space this past
Yeah.
year. Tencent already in the background quietly have been a big part of Western game companies, like major part,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways saved them uh, from really not bankruptcy, but like Epic wasn't in a good place
Mhm.
until Fortnite, and then Riot at the same was kind of flaming out a bit with League of Legends. I mean, this past couple of years they've been doing major layoffs. Even with Valorant and League of Legends, it's like it's only two IPs. You got to make more, right? And so they're
Yeah, yeah.
figuring things out, and they need to buy time. And like you said, like Tencent has a not Tencent, but Chinese companies in China have a monopoly in their own market. Like Western companies and any other companies either get not just games, but like any type of technology
Mhm.
gets duplicated over there and then rebranded quite successfully, right? They put China first, is the
Mhm.
mentality. And a lot of the thinking now is like we're wising up to the long term ramifications of outsourcing everything. All right. Good or bad, right? But like it does like stifle competition when we are allowing China in this case to have free market in our country, but we can't do vice versa over there. All right, there's some things, right? We're making Tesla vehicles over there, right? As one
Yeah.
example. They're
And
slowly
losing and
opening
losing.
and losing it,
You've had
but
it. Yeah.
they too are realizing that making it monopolistic over there, right, is probably not good, and they're starting to let drop down the
Mhm.
wall of China a bit for other businesses to thrive, because I know the last couple of years their stock market took a hit because they were straight up like arresting and re-educating like their business CEOs. I know like a lot of businesses and a lot of people who are starting businesses are moving their money elsewhere because, government first over there and it's like anti-capitalistic, right?
Mhm.
And if all the people with the ideas who are bringing in the money are leaving the country for other options, that's a problem too. And I think they're kind of starting to react to that. They're still obviously in a great place to do what they need to. The Chinese, right? I'm just trying to see how this kind of, because at this point, our game companies are so intertwined with what China wants to do, right? Like
Yeah.
imagine if China pulls out of these companies, like, what? How would we collapse? Like Riot. Who else would come swooping in buying the stake? Maybe somebody, but there is a
Yeah.
pause, right? At this state, as the state that we're in, where we're still laying off people. Like, can we handle another hit like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 I don't know, man. I don't see, like I just think it might be overblown, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even really thinking about like, hey, yeah, you took Chinese money and now, oh no, you might go away.
Yeah.
There's some companies that took Saudi Arabia money, right? As well. And I would be more concerned about that, one day just like disappearing, right? So
Saudis
yeah.
disappearing. Is that a thing?
I mean the money, the funding might
Just
disappear through
stops.
because
No
of
paper trail.
whatever reason, right? So yeah.
Yeah. So, Ray, I've been introduced recently a lot about this idea of mental wealth. You ever heard about that? So it's not just about surviving the day, but actually setting yourself up for long-term mental resilience. So it's not about quick fixes, right? It comes down to like these 5 things, essentially your sleep, your diet, exercise, stress management, and something new that I've learned, exogenous compound is a fancy word where you take in your nootropics, which is mainly to help with mental clarity or brain medicine, adaptogens, herbs, that helps with managing stress, and the nutritional supplements that we're all aware of, like your omega 3s, magnesium, that all support brain health. Really makes me focus and be ready to talk about all the shenanigans that we talk about, right? I know
Yeah, you need it.
sometimes
Yeah.
you say you work late in the night now, right? A lot of these extra projects, extra responsibilities you're taking on. So for me, working in all these areas has been a huge game changer. And one thing that really helped me stay on track is Magic Mind. It's its mental performance shot that gives me those extra boosts during the day before we record these podcast episodes. And then at night, there you got this sleep elixir that actually helps me wind down, which is just as important as staying productive. So Magic Mind has this awesome new bundle where you can grab both the mental performance shot and the sleep elixir together. So you can check it out at magicmind.com/GDUJAN. Again, that's magicmind.com/GDUJAN and get 45% off. So it's a great addition to my routine, and I know it's going to be very helpful for yours. Ray, I know you're going to be first in line to try that. Rest of you guys listening, go check it out.
All right, I'll check that out.
Uh, let's talk about another favorite, right? And we tend to have to once in a while. The good old Ubisoft. Ubisoft, what do they want to do? Right? They're kind of like at a, like you said before, they're seeing the writing on the wall. The next Assassin's Creed isn't very promising right now. They just delayed it again to March, another month.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that does, but there it is. There isn't the buzz definitely have died down. Like I'm surprised promotional content hasn't isn't ramping up as it used the kind of used to around this time. 3 months before your game ships out, AAA game been in development for 5 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially its pre-campaign was so hyped, right? Uh, to negative reactions. But 3 months before a game, that seems to be kind of like your last shot, right? At least according to the brother, it feels like, hey man, this is our last chance to like prove ourselves a bit. What should people out there be thinking, seeing how this is rolling out right now?
No, I think last time we talked about it, I was saying like, they're hurting. They're having a bad time over there, right? So, you know, people leaving, people quitting, not the right talent, games getting delayed, right? So like, they're just having a hard time. And then there's talk of like maybe they might sell to Tencent, right? Like there's, who knows, right? So like it's just
So they're interested
hard.
in a buyout right now because I think before they were really resistant to that, right?
Yeah, but the business cannot go on the way it's been going on, right? And so, yeah, I think they're kind of like in the last gasps unless somebody scoops them up and helps them out, right? So, like, I think, there's the Assassin's Creed Shadows game, but like, what is the other game? Is there any other
That's
game they're
coming out.
making? Yeah, any other games that they're making that they've actually announced? Like, I don't even
I
know.
think it's just Assassins,
Um,
man. I think they shot all their shots.
and that's kind of Skull and Bones apparently, or is that already out? I don't even know. Oh, Anno's coming out soon. Anno 117. Okay, I'll play that. But
No one else. What the hell?
um, yeah. But yeah, like it's looking kind of slim for them right now, Yeah.
So what I'm afraid of is like it's kind of building up to whatever happens. Best case scenario, I think for them is a buyout or
Mhm.
bailout, but that often results to what do you call it, redundancies, right? So another big layoff on the horizon shortly after that is announced. So
Yeah, maybe like they've historically have not actually laid off staff, although like
It's
in
starting to.
this hard time they have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah, who knows? But yeah, I just think they're just yeah, it's done for them. Yeah, unless there's something big that they can pull out the hat.
The industry, I think as a whole was kind of like ready to get rid of 2024, right? And then 2025 happened, and within like 10 days,
Yeah.
now currently we have the LA fire in blaze. A lot of game companies there. A lot of our friends have been basically, I know, and everyone in LA has been evacuated. I know some that
Mhm.
whose houses have burned. It's gone, right? As part of the blaze. And then there was a couple of terrorist attack the first day of New Year's
Oh yeah. Oh
in New
yeah.
Jersey. Not New
Mhm.
Jersey. Was it New Jersey? It was New Jersey.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I think you're right.
New Jersey, and then
um,
the Vegas Tesla truck blow up.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just all within 10 days. And it's not looking great, man. Like the fires itself has a big effect. I mean, one of the biggest hubs in California, not just California, in the States, is in the LA
Yeah.
area. A lot of game companies there.
Yeah, but I think most of the game companies like in Santa Monica and further south even, and so
Yeah.
a lot of them are like the companies themselves unaffected, but sure there might be people that live further north that were impacted by that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it will be like, oh, it's a major thing that will have ripples through the industry like that. I don't think so.
Yeah. I think like if you want to think very grim, the industry still haven't bounced back. We know a lot of people laid off,
Yeah.
right? And if people are still somehow managing to live in LA and then having to face this, that
Yeah.
might be game
But
over a bit for a while.
yeah, but
Yeah.
but also like layoffs are also continuing
It's
into
still
like it was kind of like survive until 25 was kind of a thing, right? But it seems like there's still things that are being cut back and I think Splash Damage very recently
down.
announced like canceling a project, which resulted in people losing their jobs, right? They still have other projects, but like they canceled the Transformers project or whatever. So yeah.
The Counterplay Games company closed down. Remember that Godful game?
Which one?
Counterplay Games. They made Godfall, and I always
Oh,
make fun
Godfall.
of God Awful, terrible
Mm.
name. Right? I feel worse now, but
Yes, Godfall. Yeah, Godfall wasn't very good.
it was like an arena base.
Yeah, no, yeah, I played it for a second.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it
yeah,
looks. It definitely had a style. Everything shiny.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, everything was shiny. That was kind of what was wrong with it a little bit, and the game just wasn't very good. But yeah. Sad. It's sad to hear that though.
It is sad. I mean, even though I wasn't playing it and wasn't really looking forward to it or anything, right? Made fun of it a bit. But at least it was
Mhm.
trying something. It wasn't a shooter, you know what I mean? It was trying something different, like an arena battle MOBA type of game, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I always will respect that to someone. I think I'm
Hmm.
at an age where anybody who has the capacity and the courage to make something creative and like put the blood, sweat, and time in it, I was like, dude, that's awesome. To kind of go through
Yeah.
the production, and whether success or fail, that's a huge achievement. Hopefully, that team bounces. Well, I mean, company's gone, but the people in that team themselves can
Yeah.
find something.
Yeah, they made Duelist too, which was also a very good game. I like Duelist. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
But like the sad thing is, like you said, survive until 2025 was kind of like the hope, and
Mhm.
like I think there's like a couple studios already closed since the new year, like announced,
Yep.
saved, and uh, what are people supposed to do with this one? I don't. I have like I'm running out.
I mean, what they're like, I think it opens the door. Like when things happen, it always opens the door for new opportunities, right? And so it's about like, okay, what do I do now? What new opportunities do I have? There's less, probably more people out of work, and probably it's gonna be harder to find like a job. But I think it opens doors for indie games and people to like spin up their own studios and try to do things like in a way that is more sustainable than give us $1 million, let us go off into a corner, don't bother us for 7 years, and then we'll produce something that everybody's going to love and play. I think there's other ways of like engaging in a way that in a cheaper way, um, with the community and figuring out making something that people like and that is in a more sustainable way, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
was mentioning this a few times. Um, I do feel like we're starting to kind of crawl into the quiet period of games, at least the big budget games, right? All these
Mhm.
layoffs and all these missing people and projects delays have to have an effect, right?
Mhm.
There's got to be like a gap where we're hearing games all the time because there's just not people producing. I mean, there's a clearly an absence because the last time we tracked numbers, like 20,000 people in the last 2 years got laid off, right?
Yeah.
Many projects, many companies closed down. Many projects we haven't even heard of got canceled midway, right? Just because of budget concern, not even the
Yep.
quality of it, right? All those games, all that's happening, it does feel like a lot of things are starting to quiet down because, like you said, these AAA games take 7 years to make, right? And we're not timing it so that every year these games are coming out, right? Sometimes they all come out at once, just by their start of production time or whatever, right? And
Oh, yeah. All I know is Civ 7 is coming out very soon. And do we need anything more in life than that? This is my question.
which game is that?
Civilization 7, what do you
Oh, Civ 7,
mean?
Civ 7. All right, got it.
What are you talking about? And then Marvel Rivals seems to be doing pretty well actually out here
Doing
in
really
these
well.
streets.
Yes.
I remember we talked about this before. I was like, yes, you put Marvel in a thing, people are gonna love the shit, right? So
Yeah. Well, I will give
that
them credit. It's
helps.
actually a well-made game.
Sure, but that also helps that it's a Marvel
Oh yeah.
IP thing.
Well, it
Yeah.
helps for sure. I would say that well, the funny thing is this, right? I see a lot of these threads happening where they compare this Marvel Rivals just character design versus what Crystal Dynamics put out, which was super forgettable. Yeah, you don't even remember. Like a
What
year
is the
ago, they
dance
came out
for?
with Adventures. Remember, it was kind of like a beat 'em up teenage.
Oh,
You know what I
oh
mean? You
yeah, the
play the
Avengers
same
game.
heroes
Yeah, yeah,
basically,
yeah.
and
That was a good. That was IDOS Montreal. But
Eidos. It was a
yeah,
big production.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Supposedly, I'm pretty
yeah,
sure there
yeah.
was a multi franchise planned,
Hmm.
right? Base
Yeah.
if it was a success. It was not. All right. Surprise, surprise. But like just to compare the two, all right? These are both Marvel, specifically Adventures. If anything, the
Hmm.
first event that Crystal Dynamic game, Adventures, should have had it had a better runway. It had a better red carpet type of launch because it was so close to Endgame, right? It was at the height of I would
Oh
say,
yeah.
yeah,
I think I
right.
kind of miss. I thought I missed that though. It was like it was supposed to come out around, but then it
Of
was like
course, it was
delayed and
probably
then
delayed a
missed.
little, but even
Yeah.
then, it was still at like the heyday of like the Endgame era. Spider-Man was still coming out, I believe. Uh, uh, the third
Sure.
one, and it was
Yeah.
awesome. So it was still riding the wave,
Yeah.
but didn't land because it was just a bad game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just no soul.
It also like everything I've seen about like it didn't really play up the characters that well. Like it was just like it had the characters, but
Surface level,
then
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't deep. It didn't have depth.
Yeah.
Which you kind of expect, right? You kind of if we're going through the story mode, which I was fine with in terms of narrative speaking. Like, yeah, okay, I'll go through the story mode with a character. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it going for high end graphics hurt it a bit, to be honest, right? Because I think so much production was given in that fraction of second of action, right? It can't really have a long, really design game past that, right? All the production was just put into eye candy stuff within that like 5 minute level or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I love Marvel at the time. I just had no interest in it. I wonder what. I mean, is that what you saw when you saw the preview? It's like, oh, this is not deep at all. It's just smashing Hulk smash.
Yeah, I just didn't care at all about that game. Like I was like, yeah, whatever.
And I'm a big beat 'em up type of game. Like,
honestly, I don't even care about Marvel Rivals. I kind of just want to check it out because everybody's like, it's good. I'm playing it, right? But I'm like, nah, I don't really.
Yeah, I'm not into that either. Yeah. What is that mode called where you kind of do the delivery thing? Overwatch.
It's kind of escort.
Payload
escort. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest.
I think that's good because it's more tactical, right? Because you can't just like go running off, right? You got to like protect the thing that you're escorting and kind of do like it opens up some like defensive things. Yeah, Team Fortress. Like
Valve doesn't get enough credit. Like people are still copying its games, to this day, and those are the games that are still hitting the charts. Like, isn't that crazy to think about? Like all these games kind of always homage to Valve games. Even Valorant, right, is Counter-Strike. Now Marvel Rival is like Team Fortress mode. Like Portal.
If it works, it works, man.
But it just sucks that all the innovation, all the things that really stick comes from this company that don't want to even make games anymore. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm scared. This is what I'm seriously scared of. Where's the innovation? I really do feel like game designers, I know you guys are out there, but you guys are not like hitting the mark that our ancestral colleagues have set.
No, you know what it is? No.
What's going on?
No, I think it's the same. It's the same thing. Yeah, well, yes. But then also what it really is like the big companies at least are not taking risks. That's been like that for a long time. I see way more interesting gameplay innovations and things with indie games.
Yeah.
All the time, constantly. There's probably 5 right now that I could pull out and they're dope, like mechanics wise, but then the big titles are just kind of like, we got to go with what kind of like allows for a very broad audience, can't do anything too wacky, too crazy. That's why a lot of games are like shooters of some kind, or like, or just I can't even remember the other genre I'm thinking about, right? But like shooters or first person shooters or third person shooters or multiplayer games, or there's this box that everything's in because it just needs to reach a lot of people, and there's not much innovation happening in that space. You know what I mean? AAA and the big companies are all about throwing as much money at the screen as possible, right? Like, wow, you with like how much money we're spending on this thing, and not necessarily, oh, this is like some dope mechanics going on here, right? There are some that have some good mechanics and are fun to play and all that, and there's some innovation that's happening, but it's not the norm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, what I'm worried about is that a lot of what's happening, part of it, maybe a lot of it, is contributed to that. Like a lot of the perception of AAA games have really gone stale, right? That's why when something like Wukong and Rivals come out, it's like, man, this is really like that's the selling point. It's like they actually finished this game on launch.
But,
like,
but also like, but Wukong's not very innovative.
It's not, but I appreciate
but it's just
the
good.
fact. It's good. It's solid gameplay. And I played like, I think at this point, I need to get back to it, like 25 hours. No bugs. Like I didn't see anything.
Yeah, it's
fall
very
through this.
stable.
Super stable, right? And I'm just like so poisoned with what I am anticipating from AAA games that like, oh, I'm just gonna fall through the world, or I gotta like brace myself for like 100 gig download patch, launch patch, right?
But remember, like that's also like a lot of these games, again, the ones where you're like, I'll fall through the world and do all this. These games are so huge, and I could go here, I could go there, I could go everywhere, right? Wukong gives the impression that it's a huge game, and it does it excellently because you're like, wow, I could go anywhere. You're not going anywhere. You're walking on a straight path. That's you're walking in this straight area here.
Yeah, 3 paths at most.
It's really basic. It's really, really smart of how they built it, because especially like smaller team, smaller time, like really efficient,
and have that impression of a bigger world.
Yeah, and everybody plays it like, wow, this world's so amazing, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It goes back to what I'm feeling. It's like these game designers are clearly better, right? To me, a game designer is best when they're limited, or like they design within a box, right? They design with the limitations. Right now, and this is the same with artists, and it's the same argument, right? With the new NVIDIA cars, with like infinite like non-care about like hard drive space, like. You see this all the time. People are like, back in the day when this was squeezed into a disk versus now where it's like 200 gigs and it's still, right? I feel like designing with full abandonment is really hurting schedules, production focus, and just good old like optimization, dude.
I don't know how. Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
You deal with this all the time. Like, tell the good people what your philosophy with this. Like, you're seeing the industry. It's still going that way, right? It's not stopping. No one had put. I mean, plenty of people put like brace yourself, red flags, right? But it's going this direction. What are you seeing that we're losing by continuing this path of non-optimal?
Yeah, I just think it's like it's the never-ending arms race, right? Like the customer expectations are high. They want something of a certain level. If you don't come to that level, even if you're cheaper, you're trash, right? And so people are like out here in a big ass arms race, really, and you can't afford. It's not sustainable. You can't afford to be in an arms race like at that level, and that's what happens, right? Like you just have these big games getting made. I also think there's a lot of people that are making games that don't necessarily have all of the background technical knowledge in order to make sure that these things are like stable, polished, run well, nor do they have the time to figure out some of that stuff, right? So as these games grow in scope and scale and the level of detail that they have to approach to, you're getting more and more of these issues, right? This is just unsustainable. And then there's some teams that are executing at a high level, and they're the ones like at the forefront and just delivering on point every single time. And then there's other teams that just cannot catch up, but that is the market that they're playing in, right? They have to deliver. If you're shipping your game for $70, there's a certain expectation of what is in that game. You know what I mean? Yeah. And not everyone can reach that expectation. Like it's just not feasible.
Well, speaking on like unsustainable rates, right? So I was looking at this data, the compound annual growth rate. Every year we kind of brag about like how awesome and more money we're making, right? But like, from 2016 to 2021, the pandemic obviously had an impact. There was a 13% like average of growth. Right now we're kind of returning. Well, we've been back now and in the foreseeable future to single digit growth. So we are kind of shrinking in terms of, well, they say it's attributed to a lot of things, underperformance of a lot of high profile games, rising interest rates, players returning to pre-pandemic habits, right? So all these are contributing factors to why like our growth rate is slowing down. And I see it too. We were just talking about like all these layoffs, all these pauses, all these cancellation, all these student closure. There is going to be a gap. And thankfully, like you said, there's a very active indie community. And I think we're going to be relying on that for a few years. Just smaller teams making interesting products again. And then once in a while, and that on remakes, to be honest. A lot of remakes going. I know.
I mean, the industry has been fueled by remakes for 20 years.
But like more than ever now than I remember that are doing real well. Like Capcom was braggadocious about how their Resident Evil remakes are like making so much money. It's making a lot of money. Yeah. They're killing it, right? And then even for me, and I think, it's like sinful for me to say I'm looking forward to the Snake Eater game, man. I'm like, I want to replay that game in high def, right? The reason, the audio, the dialogue, right? They're just updating the graphics and fixing a few things that people wanted over the year. I'm ready to go on a sniping round, man, with Sniper Wolf. Dude. So I'm looking forward to that. And a lot of that too is underneath that, underlying factors like people are wanting are nostalgic about just high budget, dependable, good games. Like game design were solid in these remakes, right? Because it's proven. These guys these became they became classics, instant classics, because the game design was so tight back then. And now you have the technical abilities, the tools to upgrade the graphics in a reasonable time. But even then, these games take 3 to 5 years. That's another thing we got to think about, man. If you take the same game design, same audio and everything, it still takes 3 to 5 years to make the game.
Well, that's why there are numerous companies trying to do AI to game. That's why all the big companies are super interested in AI, right? Because they know, like, the game team, the majority of the game team is the content creators, is the artists, is the designers, right? Because there's an army of content that has to get made. And so, like, everyone's like, oh, if I can shrink that, like, oh my God, right? But also, it could be a bad thing in one way, where it's now, it's cheaper to make content, so I'm just gonna make more of it, right? And then you just end up with even bigger, more bloated games, right? But that's why everybody's hyped about AI, right? Because the 3 to 5 year thing just cannot continue, right? And so
I think a lot of that,
how do we make games faster, have a good process?
I think the movie industry kind of hit the same thing where people are consuming content, and there's so much content, like just old content to dig through, right? I think we talked about this a few roundtables ago, where I'm like, I'm kind of satisfied if the next 2 years I just go through my Steam library. Like, I don't have to go for the next hot thing. And I think a lot of people are feeling that right now. A lot of gamers that I talk to, they're like, all right, let's slow things down, right? Let me catch up a bit. Is a way, right? And I think that's being felt all over. And the people with the data, the people who are doing these layoffs, people who are kind of like using this time to kind of refocus, what their company going forward looks like, recognizes that too, right? I mean, they're seeing these remakes low risk, essentially. Guarantees, and everyone's kind of taking a pause, right? And so, like, I don't think there'll be any day soon where we're gonna suddenly see the market flooded with 10,000 jobs looking, right, or 20,000. It's gonna be a long process. I think even less than a quarter of that will actually start to one day come back and be like, hey, we're hiring again.
I don't know. Like, maybe it might get to another boom might happen, or like it might get to a point of where you're saying where people look around and go, oh, we need to build up a pipeline of games again. and then there's a hiring rush again, right? Like I think everything is cyclical, right? So it's just a matter of like how long is the cycle? We have rumors of new consoles on the horizon,
Yeah.
and that always brings more games,
Yeah.
So yeah, we just have to wait and see how it all pans out.
I think the days of Sony and Microsoft or even the Switch being the reason or that boom
Oh,
is kind of
no. No. Yeah, consoles are dead. No,
consoles are
consoles are
dead.
done.
Okay.
Consoles are done. There's what's a console? Like I would actually be. I think maybe there's another console generation to happen, and I think that would be it. Like I just don't see the reason,
For one.
and definitely Microsoft doesn't see a reason for one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
right, but I don't see a reason for one. Like, why would I like they just release PS5 Pro? Like why would I buy a PlayStation 6 anytime soon? Right? Like there's just no reason to. The gap between PS5 and PS4 is like what do you mean? Like I could barely tell the difference,
Yeah.
So and I have a PC and right? So and then like the handheld stuff like Steam Deck and the ROG Ally and Switch 2, rumored Switch 2, all these things, people are kind of changing how they play a little bit with these things. So yeah, like I don't know. I think and then with Netflix getting into gaming too with their whole plan, yeah, I don't see another console cycle, or if I do see one, that would definitely be the last one.
Yeah. Like speaking of Netflix
Yeah.
and even NetEase, they're kind of stepping back a bit in their plans.
Well, no, they're not stepping back. They failed,
They
and they're
failed, so
licking
they're
they're licking
cutting
the
studios
wounds.
loose, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like even then, which was exciting, they're understanding finally that games take a while, and
Although Marvel Rivals is an Eddie's game, by the way, but yeah,
it is, yeah. Now they're doing fine
yeah.
again, right? And everyone's gonna do like a Call of Duty thing. You're a Call of Duty studio now, or you're a Marvel Rivals studio now. What's up? Stop what you're doing. Make some low key skins. It's definitely gonna happen for sure for a few of them. But I'm saying I've been talking to people. Had my good friend Jordan. He's kind of like a soothsayer on the pod. He's been able to kind of like hypothesize, what the next boom is for the industry, which is what we really need, a boom to get the jobs back on the market, right? And like you said, the status quo of AAA or a next console is kind of long gone. It needs to be something innovative, something exciting for investors to come in and be like, yes, we want to be a part of this next wave right here. Which is the only, I would say, hope left right now in the phase that we're going. It kind of needs that kind of outside the box boost, the same way that like iPhone like really gave life back in the industry with its iOS mobile games, right? Where in 2008 we were in a bad spot as well, and it kind of prolonged, reinvigorated that. Fortnite, I would say, even though I have special feelings with Epic, Fortnite kind of did that too, well, if you really want to give credence, give it to PUBG.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like, what are you talking about?
But Fortnite really elevated. I mean, Fortnite was at the freaking Super Bowl, right? They made
yeah, but it's not.
concerts, and so they took it to another status.
Yeah, it's not the game. It's not about the game. It's just about they made a whole like zeitgeist around it, right?
And they're
It's a
writing
whole
that
thing.
to this day, right? And they're writing
Yeah.
that with whatever they're doing with Disney right now. I'm curious to see what kind of boost, right? I don't think it's like going to be revolutionary. I think it's like literally what we're thinking. It's like Fortnite with Disney characters.
Yeah, I'll go on the record and say that maybe a few of these episodes ago, with me, the ones that I've been on, a few of them ago, you were like bad mouthing Epic. You were like talking
Hey man,
mess.
I still feel that way.
And the fundamentals have not changed since then, but you talking way different now. I'm just gonna point that out.
Hey man, I'm saying I still feel like Epic is still like the big bad wolf of the industry, hiding in sheep's clothing in a way, right? They kind of in their own way kind of spread what do you say? Not they're out there gospeling about how great they are and how they want to democratize the industry, but at the same time they're like stepping on the little guys and like stealing ideas left and right and like buying out their competition, right? It's just I just hate that hypocrisy. I feel like everyone sees it, but I'm the only one saying it. So, I will say this, right? Going back to my friend, and I do feel this way, like these Ray-Bans, right? These AR glasses. Like CES just happened. They're getting smaller, man. They're getting sexy, right? And there's a whole world out there that don't know the thrill of VR gaming, right? They just don't know. And it still impresses me to this day when I just put on half an hour. I was like, dude, this is awesome. It's still a feeling that I haven't had since I bought my first computer with Counter-Strike, right? It's like, it's still there waiting for millions of people out there. I know Meta is doing a great job selling their goggles, but it's still very niche compared to the rest of the industry, right? It's not hitting like Wii 2 numbers or whatever, right? So the Switch numbers. So with these glasses becoming more accessible, right? I know regular people wearing those Ray-Bans, just having smart information now pop up. And I'm seeing these live translation subtitles happening finally, right? These glasses, like, this is fucking cool. Like, I'm actually like one update away. It's like, maybe I should grab one of these as soon as it shows something. But I think that is potentially, and I agree with Jordan, the next big boom of the industry. That will create an influx of job creations.
Potentially. I think the hardware,
like Netflix, out of these cloud gaming, out of
like
consoles. I don't see anything exciting as that. You know,
everybody's been like, ever since the first AR thing came out, it's like, we got to just make this smaller, make this more ubiquitous, and then that's something. And and I think and then Meta showed their crazy Orion prototype thing. But that's like, I think we're 10 years away.
10 years away still from this point.
Yeah, still. Maybe five we're lucky, right? But I think more like 10.
Hopefully sooner than that, man. We've got friends waiting. They need jobs. They can't wait 10 years.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's like you're like, oh, it might be the next boom, right? Like I don't know about all that, but I still think it'll be really cool when it happens, but it's still a long way off, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I just see I think it's gonna creep up on us in everyday use cases. Right? I think your windshield of your car will start to have smart information, things like that. The everyday, your fridge or like everyday consumer stuff will start kind of implementing some of this stuff. And then once it becomes more like Minority Report, then the gaming function, as it finally catches up to handle real time interaction to what we're kind of seeing now with the device being small, it's going to hit us pretty hard. Like, to me, that's the most exciting thing about the future of games. Yes, great games are coming out. We're talking about these remakes. You're talking about Civ, games that we love, but that's our group, right? We need like kind of new blood, new interests for the industry to grow. And out of everything, Netflix is cool. What they're trying to do is stream, but it's cloud gaming, right? In a nutshell, is like we have like Microsoft has like great games streaming right now, right? On the Ninja Gaiden game, right? Oh, not
you're like the one Microsoft game.
The one Microsoft Studio is doing great. But if you really have like this high hopes for Netflix, how much better can you get than that, right?
Mhm.
And I don't think that's exciting enough, to be honest, to be a boom. So even if they realize their goal, uh, there just needs to be more innovation, and VR AR to me is largely untapped. Like that shit's still cool to me, man. The idea that you can play a board game in the living
Yeah,
room with AR glasses with your friends, the
yeah,
way you can interact with full virtual environment is still super
yeah.
exciting. I hope, the way I'm just glad it's still relevant enough to stay alive and not completely die. Like, I don't know, up in the Bay they have this, but we have VR arcades now, pretty accessible in like large shopping areas, that I see always full, man. All the kids are always throwing parties in there. They have these VRs, simulation racing cars, right? That's just
Mm,
hard. This is a hard rig to have at home, right? That alone is
yeah,
awesome. And then
yeah.
they have like single like decks where you can put on VR and move around in
Mm.
those areas. And
Although I wouldn't want to put on no VR
I don't
headset in a
know
public
how
setting.
they keep that clean.
That
Like that's
should
my
be
only
nasty.
concern for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But if they are able to make these smaller publicly, make it
Mm,
more accessible, people will start thinking about getting on their own. But
yeah.
like, I still haven't tried those local location based experiences. I think that's still
Mm,
freaking awesome. Like
yeah.
I'll bite the
Yeah.
bullet and put the goggles on just to walk around with my friends and like go airsofting basically, right, in an alien world. That's still cool to me. That's exciting to me. And the only thing that's stopping me from fully going to that field and make just VR all the time is that there's not a market for it right now. It's a huge risk. There's only a few studios that are doing it, and they are all owned by Meta. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like you need more people than
Yes.
that. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a
Yes.
problem.
Yeah.
But I will say, however you feel about Facebook, Meta kept that alive, just long enough for the technology to build around it, which I think eventually will. It's closing the gap. And it might be the
I
next.
will also point out that you've on this podcast you've talked mad noise about Meta as well, like just derogatory, just taking a dump on everybody,
Hey, man.
and now you're like, oh, the tech is pretty cool, like bro.
Bruh.
What's
First
going
of
on?
all right. There's a lot of missteps along the way, right? I'm not
Of
dismissing that.
course, of course,
Of
of
course, it
course.
was like missteps, planned or
Yeah,
not, they were terrible. There were a lot of things they could do better, right?
yeah.
What I'm saying is now, like, shit, like, we kind of need someone to throw us a freaking raft in terms of the game industry. And I'm like, dude, it's like, if it's branded by Meta,
So the place that you were like taking a dump on
yeah, was from a
is
high,
is the bastion of hope now.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I got it.
I am incredibly impressed that they could be the next kind of iPhone moment for games like iOS.
Maybe we'll see who gets there first, but
I mean, who
they've
else? Who
been
else
doing
is
a lot
competing at
of
this point with
yeah.
VR? I mean,
Mm,
Valve sort of, but they're still small, right? They can't
mm.
have that much of an impact.
Well, Google thing got announced finally.
Which the
So
Google AR stuff,
Android AR stuff or whatever. I
Android
don't even know what they're
AR.
calling it.
You want
I
to
don't even know
talk
what they're
about that a
calling
bit?
it.
I don't know too much
Nope.
about this.
I don't know much about it either.
The R core, is that an AR
What is
core?
it? No,
No.
AR Core. No, that's just what they do. But they just announced like a new Android XR. That's what it is. Yeah, Android XR, and it's basically like a new XR toolkit. It's going to come with a headset too. They're going to have a headset, but it's going to be a
For the phone.
cross-platform,
Right.
for Android devices, right? Of all kinds, right? So it's supposed to be kind of like an OS that can run on many different XR devices,
I see.
and of course they're going to ship like one alongside it. Yeah,
That is interesting.
Android XR. That's what it is. Yeah.
For whatever reason,
Yeah.
what's up with this
And
Vision? Is that dead in the waters now? Like
what Vision OS?
Yeah, with
No, I
glasses.
think I think they're gonna just try to make cheaper ones that are not as crazy because like the technology is just not there yet to the point where people are gonna buy it at a decent price,
Yeah.
and so they're just gonna make a cheaper version that's not as good, right?
Glasses.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, people just like glasses, man. I'm cool with glasses.
yeah. But you imagine like Android XR mixed with voice and AI and all the
I have a Pixel,
things.
so
You
naturally
know,
I'm gonna lean towards whatever this is.
yeah, yeah. So like, yeah, like, and some of the proof of concepts that they've shown look pretty cool. Like overlays, you're walking down the street, giving you directions. That's the kind of stuff that we've always said. Oh, that would be awesome. And then now, yeah, like if they had that in a glass in glasses, that'd be pretty cool.
Like that.
So
Yeah, what I'm confused about is that like didn't they axe their whole AR team at one point? So they just
yes,
rehired everybody.
yes, they did. And so that's the only thing that should give you pause. But
Yeah, we're talking about
but
Google product.
they
Should I
just
get fooled again?
yeah, they just announced it, like not just, but they announced this like in December actually. Yeah,
Okay,
so
so they have 2
just
more months. The next quarter. Next quarter, it's gonna be a bust. Hey man, it's not making us millions yet.
Yeah. Running on Qualcomm hardware, like so. Yeah, they could do some crazy stuff with it.
Have you tried those Ray-Bans?
Yeah, Stephanie has them.
What's your is it okay, super basic? Is it
Yeah, it's like you can take pictures to do video,
Yeah.
and then there's like it connects to your phone. There's apps so you can like talk to you, can read messages to you, you can like make phone calls. Like it's like your typical like earbuds, but with like a little bit more things going on.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So is
They
the sound
don't.
quality good or is it
Yeah,
just
it's not always decent, and it was really interesting because like it's like directional, so like it
you can
goes
hear it, no
like
one else
nobody else really can hear it. They can kind of hear it, but not really.
Yeah.
And then like there's no like AR. Like at least the ones that I've used
There's
didn't
nothing that
have
pops
any
in there.
AR craziness with it. No. But you could do a lot of stuff with the phone.
It's a step in the right direction, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Because
it's already appealing to regular consumers.
Decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they can build from that, which it will, it's gaining the right audience, the right support.
Yeah.
And then to the point where we can play games off it. So what in terms of technology, what do you think? Like retro games, let's say, off those Ray-Bans. How far are we from doing that from where it is right now?
I mean, I've seen some like small demos and stuff. Like I think like a simple game you probably can do on these things, right?
The computing it's from itself, right? It's not borrowing from anything else.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But what you really need though is like something that makes it worth it to be in AR. You need like the app to actually make it cool that it's AR, right? If it's just like Pac-Man on my AR headset, like who cares? Yeah.
Pac-Man eating people in the subway. I'll buy that. See, look at that. I'm a old school game designer, man.
Oh boy.
Just munching people on the subway. Hell yeah. All right. Trademark that. Next game. Well, Ray, we're at the crack of the hour. We talked about many things. Hopefully hopeful things. I think we kind of closed it with some hope, right? Kind of started with kind of grim because that's the way the year is. For all those brothers and sisters out there looking for a job.
The year just started.
The year has started. Can't be worse than last year. Let's say that, right? It has to be better than last year. What are you pausing for?
I mean, personally, it's gonna be better than last year, I feel.
Okay, Ray's okay, guys. For those who were worried, Ray's okay again. This guy had 2 jobs last year, working double time.
I'll have one this year.
This year, oh look at that! How humble, with humility this year, 2025. Ray, humility. But yeah, right. I'm looking forward to this year. I think there's a lot of like just judging from what CES was. I know every year it makes sort of a splash, but I feel like there's a lot more excitement coming out of CES this year. There's a lot of cool tech. New video cards are coming out, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I know Ray has 3 of those back ordered, Ray, for each of his computer upstairs.
Nope. Right? Oh, none of those video cards back ordered. I ain't independently wealthy to afford graphics cards.
So I think there's a lot of things coming in the horizon.
Yeah.
Yes, we're in a bad place in the game industry, but like so many people in your circle and my circle, games ain't going nowhere. There's always a place for games. There is always a need for games.
Yeah,
I think we're in an innovation period, and honestly, long overdue. Like we can't keep doing the same thing and expect
different results.
Yeah. So
that's the definition of insanity.
Yeah, exactly. So like people are kind of hungry. You know, the market is speaking to us. I was like, we want something else. We want some accountability on these AAA games. Like, polish that shit. Let's put some limits on these counts, bro. And it's time to like maybe introduce a new type of way to interact with games. I mean, that's what it's all about. We've been riding this wave for a while. I think people are kind of looking forward to like, how do I interact with this world that I'm living in? And I really hope that VR, AR, I really, if I have to spend, like, if I want to think of it away, I would love to spend the rest of my career in VR land, man. I love that industry. I have fun with it. I just need to be able to make money from it to make sense. And I think that's everybody, to be honest. Right? Yep. So good luck. Reach out. Where they can find you? Where can they find you nowadays?
I'm still on Twitter. WADARASS on Twitter.
Best place on earth. All right, go find Ray.
No, it's not.
Share your opinions. Anyway. Tell them what's up. See you guys all next week. Want sharper focus by day and deeper sleep at night? So now is the perfect time to optimize your mental performance with Magic Mind, exclusive 24-hour pack. For the first time ever, the focus and sleep shots are bundled together at 45% off, but only through my special link. So stay sharp, stay calm, and wake up refreshed. Whether you're tackling big goals or simply want to feel your best, Magic Mind's doctor-validated formula enhances clarity, reduces stress, and supports deep restorative sleep. Make 2025 your year of mental wealth. Don't just push through the day, thrive in it. Get the Focus and Sleep Bundle now at 45% off through my link. themagicmind.com/GDUJAN. Check it out.